In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Anakin Skywalker for the SH Figuarts line that was made by Tamashii Nations and Bandai. It's the Japanese manufacturer, and they do have their own line that's specific to the Japanese market. You can't get these action figures in North America at all unless you import them, and this was one of the first Figuarts action figures I got. And interestingly enough, this is probably the best Revenge of the Sith 6-inch scale Anakin that you can still get today, because this is the only one that Hasbro has made up to this point. Is the original from 2013, but this is the archive version from a few years later. But I knew when I saw this guy initially that I thought, yeah, I definitely want to add him to my collection. He pretty much has everything you need for the perfect Revenge of the Sith Anakin / Vader. And as you can see, I do have the Sith Eyes variant faceplate on right now. He has 3 different faceplates, which we'll show off all 3 of them here in a little bit. But I usually like having him in his dark side appearance here, especially since I have the regular Anakin displayed alongside him as well. So as I mentioned, I did get this action figure, I think it was around 2017 or 18 when he was initially released. I forget when specifically, but it was in that range. But I did get this imported from Japan. I believe it ended up coming by ship, actually, because it took about 5 weeks to get here at the time. And I didn't have a tracking number, and just based upon the stamps I saw on it and then the postage markings, I'm pretty sure it ended up arriving via ship, which is pretty interesting because most things I get imported from overseas end up coming over by airmail. But here's the package here. Anakin Skywalker. As you can see, it does have some of the Japanese markings on it. Bandai Spirits, Tamashii Nations. I do think they have their own stores over in Japan. I've only been to Japan once, but I only spent about a day in Tokyo, so I didn't really get to see a lot of it. But whenever I do make my way back over there again, I might stop by and see what they got. Most of my exploring in East Asia has been around China and Taiwan and places like that instead. But you do have a little bit of lettering here. SH Figuarts is a new standard figure series and incorporates the Tamashii Nation action figure art under the theme pursuing character expression through humanoid action. And back in 2017 and 18, when Figuarts was, I would argue, more popular for Star Wars than it is now, this was before Hasbro had the face printing tech for Black Series, so this was considered like the superior and definitive versions of the 6-inch action figures. But since Hasbro has upgraded their technology and a lot of the action figures are better than ever, they're kind of in competition with each other, and I think Figuarts has kind of lost a little bit of their appeal because of that. And these are very expensive. I forget what I paid for Anakin. It was probably ended up being about $60, or the equivalent of $60. I'm sure it was converted over into yen, but I forget exactly what that figure came out to be. So here's a side view of Anakin here. Then we have an image on the back showing all various scenes from the film and some of the poses with the different head sculpts. You have the regular Anakin here, this yelling version, probably him calling Padme a liar. And then we have the Sith Eyes variant that you see there. And then the other side here, and the top and the bottom. Well, let's get into the most exciting part of the video, looking at the action figure himself. So I will say this robe he's wearing is not included with him originally. He does not come with a robe at all. I ended up getting this custom made back around 2018, and it was an Anakin robe, I think. Or actually, I think it may have been for a different character, but I ended up adding this to Anakin because I thought the proportions looked pretty good on him. It seems to fit him pretty good. Could include this black one as well. Maybe I should try that at some point for the dark side face here. So as you can see with the head sculpt, it's very stylized, and all three faceplates are... I know it's probably not going to appeal to everyone. It's not the most movie accurate looking Anakin. You can tell that, yeah, this is definitely a Japanese styled Anakin, but it's still really good, and I think it holds up really well after all these years. And even compared to the Hasbro action figure as well, yes, this one's probably technically more movie accurate, but you know, they both have their appeal. And I don't look at this and think, oh, that's clearly not Anakin Skywalker. It is Anakin Skywalker, and you can see it from a mile away. So I'll go ahead and take this robe off real quick. It's a very flexible action figure, so getting robes on and off is no big deal at all. The articulation on this is very superior, even more superior than what we get in Black Series. So for his robes here, they look pretty good. Most of the parts on this are pretty much all separately sculpted accessories almost. You know, like on Black Series, everything's just kind of sculpted together, especially with the robes. But this, it feels like it's separate pieces all meshed together. The belt is a separate accessory as well. You have his legs, his boots. You have the mechanical arm here. Nice details on the belt. So we'll go ahead and go over the articulation. As I said, it's very complex. So he does have a joint at the neck or at the head, and then he does have one at the base of the neck as well. So he does have a really good range of motion. Shoulders, it is the butterfly joints, which back in 2017 and 18 was a very innovative thing. Not many of the Black Series action figures had that, if any. So there's pretty good range of motion on that. And hinged shoulders, which, as you can see, go way past 90 for both arms. He does have hinged wrists, and I will say that is one kind of drawback with a lot of the Figuarts action figures is it's very hard to get the hands on the joint for the wrists there, and you have to be very careful because they're small and they could break easily. So I probably won't be changing the hands out for this video because it can be kind of tedious to do that, but I will do the faces here in a minute. Joint at the waist, which as you can see is very versatile. It does have barbell hips, and his skirt here does have enough flex to it where you pretty much could do the splits for him and go all the way forward. Not a hindrance at all. And hinged knees, which they just go slightly past 90, I think. And then he does have rocker ankles, which even for Black Series at this time was still a very new thing. But one additional part is he has the articulated toe, which I've never found too handy, but I have seen photos online of people really utilizing it, and it definitely could have its uses. In terms of accessories, we'll go over the faces last, but he does have the ignited lightsaber here. A nice blue blade. It's a very thick blade as well. Much more than Black Series. Nicely painted hilt. Does have an unignited hilt as well, which does attach to his belt. Just plug it in there. Fits into place very good. Then you do have some alternative hands. So you have a force gesture for his gloved hand. You have a fist for the gloved hand as well. Then for his left hand, he has the open force gesture as well. And you can just see how small that hole is for the joint. And that's why I say you gotta be very careful about not breaking that. And sometimes it just doesn't want to fit in place very well. And he has the fisted hand as well. Now for the faces, closer look at the dark side one again. More neutral expression, but he does have the Sith eyes, which is very nice. Here is the screaming face. And the detail on this is very impressive. You can see the teeth, and it almost looks like each tooth is sculpted individually. You can see the lines in his face, a scar there. The eyes look really good. And then just here's the inside looks like and how it would attach. See, yeah, I think that mouth is a separate piece. And then here is the more neutral Anakin Skywalker head. And it doesn't have that separate piece as much for the mouth. And it's not too difficult to take apart. You can kind of see the line along his head there where you would open that. So you can take his head off if you wanted to. And it's easy enough to do that. It's not like some of the Black Series ones where you feel like you have to boil the head just to pop it off. You can see how big that joint is there. Then trying to get this separated from the back of his head. See if we can do that. Has been a little bit since I've taken this apart, so it might be a little more stuck. Alright, not too bad. And some people do this even. Let's see. Yeah, I always thought that looked kind of scary even. Well, let's try the screaming head here first. It's easy enough to put that together. Have him do something like that. Like he's about ready to strike down Obi-Wan, or telling Obi-Wan that he underestimates his power. This is probably the face that I've used the least out of the three. Well, this is kind of unfortunate. One of the pegs ended up breaking off right there for me. And that didn't take really much to do that. Wasn't hard on this or anything. But it shouldn't really affect the action figure too much. Still fits into place alright. That's really upsetting though. That's why I'm saying you have to be careful about taking this stuff apart. Yeah, I'll definitely keep it on the Sith Eyes Anakin and be careful. See how he looks like with the hood on. This robe is really good though. It's one of the best I've ever purchased. You definitely get him looking like a regular dark side Anakin. Mustafar there. Something like that. I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about the Figuarts Anakin here. I'm really upset that the peg on this faceplate here broke. I'll have to see if I can try and get that out, maybe repair it. But it just goes to show you how fragile these action figures are sometimes, especially Figuarts. A lot of the joints feel very fragile. And as I mentioned before that happened, the hands, that's something that definitely could happen. But at least the faceplate seems to stay in place still, and it's just the one peg that's broken, and it shouldn't really affect the action figure too much. But I'll see what I can do. But would I recommend this action figure for your collection? I definitely would. It's the best 6-inch Anakin, as I said, that you can get to date. I'm sure Hasbro will be making a new Revenge of the Sith Anakin here soon, and it'll probably be an excellent action figure as well, I hope. But even if Hasbro makes a new one, I would still recommend this one because of all the different faceplates. You get the all-around definitive Anakin because you get his dark side pre-suit look, like here, and then plus all the extra hands and accessories that we know a Hasbro action figure will not have, unless it's a deluxe, of course. As far as price is concerned, this one's probably a little bit more expensive on the aftermarket now, but I do think Figuarts is doing a re-release of this Anakin, or an upgrade of it here soon, so I would look into that. And they do happen to do re-releases of action figures from the past every now and then, so I would stay in tune for that. But like I said, it's not something you can buy directly in North America. You'll have to get it directly from Japan, or if you do get it from North America, it's a seller that got it from Japan. But you're probably going to be paying a premium for it. But it's a very nice action figure. I'm happy I have it in my collection. I do have 4 Figuarts action figures, including this one. I have the Revenge of the Sith Count Dooku, I have a New Hope Leia, and then Phantom Menace Obi-Wan, which I will do the videos on all 3 of those here soon. But I wanted to start off with one of my favorite characters, and I think this, I'm trying to think, this might be the first Figuarts action figure I got. I ended up getting 3 of those, all really close to one another, so I would have to go back and check specifically when I got them. But I cherish this greatly. Happy it's a part of my collection. and have nothing but great things to say about it. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for playing more in the future. There's always more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. And check out the links in the description if you haven't done so already. And as always, thanks for watching.